Hello everybody, welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for episode 2 of the new CW show Superman and Lois. This episode is called Heritage, and last week I reviewed the pilot episode of this new show. Now, as I mentioned on my previous review, I've no history with the Arrowverse or any of the DC shows on the CW network. I generally avoid all superhero TV shows. I think it oversaturates the market, generally speaking. So I've not watched any of them. I've not even watched any of the Marvel ones, you know, the Daredevil, Punisher, Iron Fist, all that kind of stuff. Not watched any of them, generally speaking. But as I said previously, Superman's my favourite character. So whenever there's a new show, especially a new show that's getting a lot of positivity, as this show is, I'm interested. So as I reported on my review for the pilot episode, I really enjoyed the opening of this new series. And the second episode kind of builds on the first episode, and it was another positive episode, and it was very, very good. They have now fully moved to Smallville. In the first episode, they were living in Metropolis, and they decided to move to Smallville after Clark's mum passed away, to be closer as a family. His son Jonathan is showing signs of having superpowers, so he has now revealed who he is to his two twin children, Jordan and Jonathan. Jordan's a talented athlete, a football star, and Jonathan's the athlete and the football star, and it's Jordan who is the one who's showing powers. Sorry, I keep getting those two mixed up. One's got blonde hair, one's got dark hair, and one's got social anxiety, which is Jordan, who's the one who's displaying powers. So, in this episode, Clark decides to take Jordan to the Fortress of Solitude. So it's the first time I've seen it in this new version of Superman. Very similar to what you might remember from the Christopher Reeve films, the Fortress of Solitude. Very icy, all that kind of stuff. And he takes him there to get him tested, his son, to see what his abilities are. And there is a hologram of his father, Jor-El, who is played by Angus McFadden, who you will recognise from things like Braveheart and Equilibrium. Done quite a lot of movies over the years, so I thought it was pretty much a well-cast role there to play Jor-El, Clark's father. And after testing Jordan, it turns out that actually his powers might not be all that, which doesn't please Jordan at all. He thought he was actually going to be special for once, and it turns out he might actually not be. So that caused a little bit of a family rift. They go to a barbecue, the local place, Lana Lang and her husband, who's a bit of a dick, etc, etc. And Lois essentially goes to war with a guy called Morgan Edge, who's like this big business guy who's bought the Daily Planet. He's making Lois compromise her journalistic integrity. She writes a piece on him because he's basically taken over Smallville and saying he's going to give loads of opportunities for the locals, but she knows his track record says otherwise, and she senses a rat, basically, and she says so in her story. Now, Morgan Edge, this business guy, obviously going to be the new bad guy of this show, rewrites her story, which displeases her immensely, as you can imagine, and she quits. And then she goes to the local Smallville newspaper and says, right, do you want to hire me, and shall we run this story? So that's going to develop as the season goes on. She's going to go to battle with this businessman. That's going to be her story arc, as well as the family stuff. We see more of this Luthor character battling Superman throughout this episode once again. Superman kind of gets the upper hand here this time round, as this Luthor can't get hold of any more kryptonite. You would assume it's Lex Luthor, and I don't really want to spoil anything here if you are watching this show. It is and it isn't, and we learn more about where he has come from, and we also learn more about why he has such a problem with Superman. And this Luthor character is also trying very hard to connect with the Dylan Walsh character, who is General Sam Lane, Lois Lane's father. and to try and warn him about Superman, as this Luthor who is attacking Superman is convinced that Superman is evil, basically, or he's going to be evil, and he can cause a lot of harm. So that's generally the gist here of episode 2. It's developing nicely. I thought it was another fine episode. I mean, it's really good. Surprisingly good. I mean, the only CW show I've ever really watched is Supernatural. I like Supernatural, but I'm not naive enough to say that, you know, the quality of that show it diminished as years went on, probably, even though I still enjoyed many of them. But I think they knew that Supernatural was kind of like the show on on the CW, and they had to kind of make it as best quality as they could in regards to the writing, the effects and things like that. And Jared Padalecki and Jensen Ackles were always brilliant on that show. They're very, very good actors. So it's hard to really blow that one, but it was also hard to keep the quality going for 15 seasons. But many point the finger at things like Batwoman, which is getting absolutely slated by everybody on YouTube. I can't comment, I've never watched it, but to be honest, looking at the quality of that show, I don't ever want to watch it. So thankfully they are treating this classic Superman character with respect. We're seeing a new dynamic here of Superman that I've never seen on screen before, him being a family man with children. I'm not sure how I would have reacted to that under normal circumstances, but I think it's actually working. We're seeing this new dynamic from Superman, this real life dynamic that I'm really, really enjoying, and I'm not going to lie, I'm really enjoying this show, and I'm looking forward to the 3rd episode. So I'm going to give episode 2, same as episode 1, 8.5 out of 10. It's a good quality show so far. So yeah, let me know if you're watching this show what your thoughts are, and obviously I will be back with review for episode 3 next week. I'm going to do this week to week, these episodes. I mean, most shows these days are binge watch shows, you know, they drop them all at once. Certainly a lot of shows anyway, so everyone kind of binge watches them and then reviews the whole season. Well, it's nice to have a traditional weekly episodic show, I suppose. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the 3rd episode. Let me know what your thoughts are if you're already watching this show, and I will see you on the next review. Thanks for watching, everyone.